History is about teaching us as a people that we're at war.
I want to speak about the image of our people. We have to be protective of our image.
Our ancestors, they were oppressed, and we are oppressed today.
Hotel brothers and sisters, welcome to the Ja and Kev Show. I am Ja.
And I am Kev.
And today we have a subject that we all need to engage in. And that subject is this: educating African American children for the 21st century. Now, this brother Kev today, he's going to interrogate me. He's going to scrutinize me. This brother's going to nail me to the wall. But the bottom line is it's necessary, because these discussions that we're having are discussions that we all need to take part in to see what we can do to better ourselves as a people. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing? You all right?
Oh, yeah. I'm ready for him.
Let's get this party started, man.
Right,
we're talking about education.
Okay.
Afrocentric education in the Black community, basically, for our young kids.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to defer to you a lot on this topic, because this is basically what you do.
That's right.
You have what we call the Liberation Academy.
Yes, sir.
And let's go into that first. Tell me what the Liberation Academy is and what does it entail?
Okay, the Liberation Academy is a educational facility for children that are in the kindergarten all the way to the 6th grade. We just started a year ago. This is our second year. We have 6 students. The ages range from age 7 to 10. And we have an Afrocentric curriculum. And our children are really growing by leaps and bounds, because now they're in an environment that's really going to help them thrive when it comes to their education. And so we're excited about Liberation Academy. We took it up on ourselves to say, I've homeschooled since 1994. And then shortly after that, I started thinking, instead of homeschooling, this information is so pertinent. Why don't you do a school? So we started a private school last year. So I've homeschooled for at least 20 something years. And now we're into the big stuff.
So when you said you homeschool, you homeschooled your own kids?
Yes, sir.
And
yes,
then you
sir.
homeschooled other people's kids?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That was in Indiana.
Okay. And how did you come about doing that? I mean,
well, I look at the educational system. I mean, I'm a product of being miseducated when I grew up. And so I know that there's got to be some type of alternative, which we didn't have. And even today, we don't have an alternative. And so I figured that I need to take it upon myself as an educator to provide for children that which I didn't have. So I'm passionate about it. And that's why we're doing it now.
Okay. And you said we.
I got myself, a couple of parents, the wife. We're all engaged in learning. And then we also have people that support us. Some of the family members support us. You supported us in the past. Every time we reach out to you, you support us. And that's one of the things that we need to discuss. And that is this. Oftentimes, we look at the educational system and we see the miseducation. We see our boys being put on Adderall, our girls being put on all these different medicines. We see that when they graduate, they can't read. We see all of these things, but yet we do nothing about it but complain. So this is an alternative. So instead of griping about something, then why don't we provide for our own that which we're talking about that we need?
Okay. Tell me about your curriculum.
The curriculum is an Afrocentric curriculum, which sees Africa as the base, because everything comes from Africa. And basically, we have the core value subjects, which would be language arts, science, reading, math. But then we go a little bit deeper, brother. We go into world history. We go into African kingdoms. We teach our children that our history doesn't just start in 1619. We go way before 1619, but we look at a history from a world perspective, but Africa is at the center, because that type of curriculum, it empowers those children that are in front of us. And I think it's important, because when you think about it, you have to have someone teaching you, brother, that's really for you. So you have to have that person that's standing in front of you that has your best interest at heart. And oftentimes, a lot of these people that we put in front of our children, they could care less about our children. So that's why we have to be out front.
Okay. And how did you come about coming up with your curriculum?
Actually, a lot of it was taken from my homeschool studies, but there are some things that children need. And see, if, for example, one of the classes we have is a class on identity. A lot of our children don't know who they are, because they're not being taught that. We also have a class that's dealing with racism. How can you send a child to a school? That's the elephant in the room. We don't talk about it. You and I may not have had any type of classes on racism, but it affects us. So
Right.
why not talk about that at an early age so our children can be ahead of the fray because they're going to be affected by it. Our children have a set of problems that other children don't have. And so we must address those problems at a very, very early age, as opposed to waiting until we so-called graduate and then don't know what the hell hit us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. I understand that. So, is it accredited with the state?
No. Actually, when you start a private facility, there is no elementary education school that's accredited.
Okay.
You get that later on. But we have applied and we've gotten what we need to start a private school, a small private school. Any private school is not accredited if it's an elementary education school. When you get into the 10th, 11th, and 12th, that's when you talk about accreditations. And then again, we like to ask a question. We talk about education as being instructing, and that the Western world and way of thinking, philosophy about education is basically to just give out information. Whereas the Afrocentric approach takes the view, we not only give out information, but we want to educe. That's where you get the word education from. We educe, that means we pull out of the student what's already in there, because our students going to have to learn that as they graduate, as they go through life, there are many problems that we face that if we get on it now, at least they'll be better prepared to handle those, as opposed to waiting until one gets older and not know what hit them.
Okay. And I know you was given a definition of education. I want the listeners think about what you think education is, your definition. So you gave me your definition. Was that your complete definition of what education is?
Well, actually, it's education is a deep concept. And it not only talks about the instructing and the educing, but it talks about as far as life is concerned. Right. Education doesn't just start in a building. So we teach our children that education is just a setting that you're in. And that when you grow up, as you continue to mature, you're going to constantly be educated, because life itself is an experience of an education. If we would just look at it as such, as opposed to having this mindset of education only takes place in a building.
In a school.
Exactly.
That some people will ask you, well, how far of an education did you get and things like that, because they're caught in this construct that we are part of in the Western civilization. Because I always contended that education prepares you to survive and to grow in your environment. So, and I remember when I started thinking about the show, and I started thinking about the definition of my definition of education. I know the root word and, all of these things like that. But I remember having a discussion with some brothers I was with, and they were talking about how people were smarter generations ago because they lived off the land and things like that. But my reply was, but yeah, if you drop them here, they're not going to, you see that with older people dealing with computers, technology, it's like you're lost. So education, you can't just jump generation and say, well, they were smarter because they did their education at that time was learning how to live off the land. It had nothing to do with books or anything like that. I was looking up in the research for this show. I went into school systems and at the motherland, Africa. And I was wondering, what did they teach the kids at the age that you're talking about?
Oh, okay.
And their curriculum. So I looked at the Minister of Education. She put out a syllabus for the country. I believe it was changed in 2005. And it hadn't been changed 14 years prior to that was the last time it was changed. But she gave a breakdown of each age group of what they're supposed to teach in their schools and things like that. And it's similar to what you're saying. They teach about their culture. They teach literacy, science, mathematics. But it's also they teach language in their kids' mother tongue. So it breaks down step by step, age by age, what they feel is important. And I also chatted with another brother from the motherland that's on my Facebook account. And I asked him, he's in college now. I asked him about his, I looked up a couple of countries. Basically, I looked up Nigeria. I looked up Ghana. What they teach, and it's similar. And it's similar. They also teach about their own history, which they do here. Right. When I moved from New York and I came to Texas, when I was coming to school, they taught me Texas history. So I think that's prevalent throughout the education system. I think what we are missing here as African American people here in this so-called education system, we're not getting anything of our history. It's a slanted history. If we're in a systemic racist system, then that's part of the racism that's going on. The education system is how they're affecting us, and you're trying to alleviate that or turn that around.
Exactly, because what you're looking at context.
Right.
You're looking at every culture has a context. And for some reason, we keep thinking that we're not a contextual people. We have a context, and our context is there's mass incarceration. Our context is there's a lot of violence on the streets. Our context that racism has been running rampant since we've been here. Our context is our boys and girls don't know how to read according to their age. Our context is they can't even think properly. They don't know how to do reason, don't know how to use logic. And the alternative is people like us who says, let's put together a curriculum that's contextually friendly so that our children can know exactly the loopholes that they're going to have to go through to deal with a society, man, that has gone stone nuts.
Okay, I have a comment from Facebook, from Mustafa Ali Mende. He says, sounds awesome. He says, has he reached out to Dr. Umar? Maybe they can corroborate on this important issue.
No, I haven't reached out to Dr. Umar, neither has he reached out to me. But the bottom line is we have people, that brother is brilliant minded when it comes to education. But let's talk about what we're dealing with now here in San Antonio. The same courses that Dr. Umar Johnson is teaching, you're going to find that we teach them. You're going to have to have those types of courses. You got to have agriculture. You got to have political science. You got to have all the things that's going to help us survive. And that's one of the things that I want to share with you. See, we always talk about education and we don't look at the function. The function of education is, as you said earlier, a lot of us say that the function of education is to go to a college or go to a school to get a good job. That's not the function of education. The function of education is survival and to advance the interests of a people. So how can you say, and I say that we're educated when we're working against the interests of our people? And that's what children need to know. That's what grown people need to know. And a lot of us as adults, we have a difficult time communicating with them because they've been brought up in a system that they have been educated by, they have been miseducated. And now when you try to have these serious discussions, we don't seem to know what's happening. For example, we often say behind closed doors, the educational system is corrupt. The educational system is not doing a good job with our kids. And all these things are true. Our scores are low. But yet every year we send them back to the same place with book packs, with backpacks, with paper, with pencil. We continue to buy them so-called school clothes. So what I'm saying, a lot of us talk that talk, but we don't walk the walk. And that's a problem because to me, we're a part of the problem. Why instead of you and I working together, we're not trying to tear it down. We're trying to build our own because they're going to do what they're going to do. But unfortunately, many of us don't want to work together. We don't know how. We won't reach out to one another. And that's why you have the contradictions and the schizophrenia that most of us suffer from.
Schizophrenia. Okay, I'm going to read a comment this was from last week's show. And from brother Richard D. Mitchell. And when I spoke to him after the show, he said, I wish you would have read my comment before we got off the air. So I saved the comment and I said, well, you know what? The next show, we're going to talk about education. And this is basically what he was talking about. And I'm going to read it out. He says, as soon as I say that, technology jumps off the screen. He says, so right now, if all our people decided not to attend public school anymore, do we have enough schools to provide space so these kids will be in a comfortable space where they will be able to interact and participate positively? He said, without being in uncomfortable, he said, situations. That's why I say it's progress. I agree that with y'all, we need to take hold of what our kids are being taught, and we need our villages back, but we have to be able to accommodate what you're asking for love. He said, asking for love you, brothers. I'm gonna stop, right now. So okay, we could go.
And what he's saying is what we're doing. Gradualism is a process. We never said take our kids out of school. That doesn't make sense. Now, and I know the brother might not be meaning it literally, but what I'm saying is, until we get to where we need to go, we have to have people that's willing to sacrifice and create tutoring, create schools, create educational facilities where our students can go. So yes, we're doing what he said that we should do. We've said that the system is corrupt. The system isn't teaching our children. So we started our own. So we should be applauded. I should be getting phone calls off the hook in this city because we have so many students, Black students, African-American students that don't know who they are. So instead of talking about what other people do and don't do, we need to hook up and say, well, what can we do to make sure that our children, when they graduate, that they know who they are and how to function in a world that's gone berserk.
Okay, let me jump in. I have a question about that. So, why do you think people are not calling? Why do you think the phone is not ringing off?
Well, because I said earlier, a lot of us as adults, we've been miseducated, brother. So it's hard for me to call you when I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. And it's hard for me to call you when I don't trust you because of the way you look. And I've been told that whatever you do, if it's Black or Afrocentric, that's bad. But if I've been brainwashed to believe that European standards are always right, that's the correct method, then I wouldn't call you. And then secondly, we don't want to take accountability. See, we complain, and I would say the word that starts with the B letter. We do that often about the school system, the public educational system, and we have a right to. Taxpayers should be able to do that. What I'm saying is, instead of griping all the time, when do we sit down and come together and say, we don't have to send our children through this? It's cruel. It's heinous. It's preposterous, I should say. It's reprehensible to keep feeding our children into the belly of a beast, knowing we know the outcome, brother. And people don't want to take accountability. And that's us as a group of people. We have to be accountable. It's not just the public educational system. What about parenting? What about you, not you literally, but what about us as individuals? Are you helping your nieces and nephews? Am I helping my great nieces and nephews? Are we helping our children with their work? Are we looking at their assignments? Are we making sure the crap that they're being taught, we're straightening it out? No, because we've turned our children over to a system that's eating them alive. And everybody thinks that he's radical. He needs to slow down. Well, hell, you should be telling them to slow down. They've been doing this for almost 200 and something years. And we have just started. And you're going to tell me to slow down, but you won't tell them to slow down.
Okay. Could advertisement be another issue with it? I mean, if people don't know about you, I mean, probably the first time a lot of these people here, I'm talking about that's in San Antonio, has ever heard of your academy is probably on this show or another show that you did on the Blueprint.
Okay. That's
a problem. I mean, do y'all have any kind of way of getting the word out other than, I mean, because I haven't even seen it on. Now, I've seen it since I've met you.
Right.
And you say y'all had to school for way longer than that, at least a couple of years, right? 2 years?
This is the second year.
So I've only known you for about a year, right?
Okay.
And the only time I ever heard about it is when I met you face to face. I didn't hear about it. I mean, then we became friends on social media, and then I started seeing your videos. Do y'all have any way that y'all advertising it to the people in the area?
Well, they can go to Liberation Center. Let's see, the Liberation Center SA.org. And we have a page on there. But financially, we don't have commercials because here's the thing. Everything that we know, we hear it at some point in time in our lives.
Right.
And at some point in time in one's life, even if they never hear about Liberation Academy, what are we doing as adults for our own selves? You see, this is what I'm trying to get to. We're not going to be a school that holds 1,000 students, 1,500 students, and have 80 kids in one room with one person. So what I'm trying to get to is we are all accountable, not just me, not just Liberation Academy. All of us are accountable. And a lot of us don't like that because now I'm putting the ball back into our courts because we talk about education, but unfortunately, we know nothing about in 1635. I ask you now, who was the first European to start this whole concept of schooling? No one knows about Horace Mann, but you have many so-called educators. That was the European in around 1837 was the one who said public schools should be free. Well, what was going on in 1837? Where were our children in 1837?
That wasn't meant for us.
Exactly. And so if they're not going to treat us right, what makes you and I think they're going to teach us right?
Right. Now let me get back to the advertisement thing right quick, and I'm gonna read a few comments because a brother, I think he echoed what I was saying. Now you said they could go to, and you gave the site, but if they don't know the site, how can they go to it? So this is a problem that I see with sometimes people don't even know these things exist. So how can I know y'all do a lot of things outside of just doing your classwork. So, but I'm saying, how can we make people better aware of the OBU, of the Liberation Academy? I was searching for the OBU. I just said, well, let me find out and when I went to I put in OBU of San Antonio, Some people that's not in San Antonio don't know what the OBU is.
Mm-hmm.
But what it brought up something about a Baptist university, and I put black. I tried to narrow it down. Then after like I went down so far, then I started seeing something about the OBU,
Mm-hmm.
and the OBU has been around for years, on top probably a couple of decades.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to find it. And I don't see many advertisements about. I mean, what can we do to fix that problem for people that don't even know that you exist? Now, also going along with that, it's a tuition with the school, correct?
Mm-hmm. A little smart.
So that's a problem with a lot of people. They say, well, if I could send my kids to school for free, why would I pay for them to go to school when I'm scrapping for every crumb?
That's one of the most dangerous things I've ever heard. And I know you're just echoing what the sentiment would be of people. First of all, let's take that step at a time. Why would you send? Now let's know how that sounds. Why would I send my child to a school that I can't afford, yet I can get it for free? What are you getting for free? Right. What are you getting for free? And secondly, if you call me right now and you said, brother, I like what you guys are doing. I want to give it a look, check it out, see what's going on. And I'm struggling right now. Do you think I'm going to tell you, well, no, brother, you can't come because you can't afford $40 or $50 a week?
Right. So this is what I had a discussion about solutions. I was telling people that are able to give grants, that go find these schools that's trying to do that type of things that you're doing, OBU, Liberation, and give grants. Give grants. And I even brought up, like, they will do it. Sometimes we'll do it for athletics and things like that. For these people that may not be able to afford it. Now, my kids are grown. They done went to college and everything. So it's not going to be for me. But it may be for my grandkids, but that's up for my kids to decide. But my point is, we could fund it. We could fund it if we have that type of mindset. Now, when the reason that I'm saying that also, if somebody say, like you said about the dangerous way of thinking like that, because I could look at our leaders, I could look at our history, and the thing that we like to echo is that we are very resilient people. And I could look at Martin Luther King, I could look at Malcolm X, I could look at Garvey. I could look at W.B. Du Bois. He went to Harvard, and I don't believe that he went to that type of school. So a lot of people will look at the success. I could look at my kids and say, well, they went to public school, but they got it at home. A lot of things that they need to know, they got at home. So their mind wasn't corrupted by the institution. They just went there to get the basics, the mathematics and all that stuff. So a lot of people may think like that. Okay, why would I pay when I could get it for free? And I could educate them at home. I'm talking about a different group now to say, well, you know what? I have a bibliography of books. They could get it at home. They're getting the program and the TVs and things like that. And so those people may think, well, okay, it's not that important.
Okay.
So,
and if that's how they think, here's where I am with life in general. If a person isn't interested, in spite of how and why, that's their prerogative. They don't have to. I'm not trying to win the whole world to Liberation Academy. I'm saying those who are sick and tired, that's willing to sacrifice for the betterment of their children, you are the ones that we're going to help because you're open. If you're not interested, no matter what I say, no matter what I do, you're not going to send your children. You're not going to support me. You're not going to support the school. And that's okay, because there's no institution that everyone supports. So we have to look at that.
I said I was going to read the brother's comment. And of course, we're going in real time. So what he said, the first thing he said, truly, we do have many efforts to do what he is doing. Speaking of you, he said OBU has been around for years, which I brought that up. He said, how about most of us don't know him, or perhaps we are doing what he is saying.
Come on, man. Come on. Let's stop this right here. Most of us are doing what he is saying.
I'm saying, let me say, he said, how about most of us don't know him, or perhaps. As soon as I start reading, it jumps. Because brothers, when y'all comment, y'all taking me off the screen, and jumps down to the next comment. He said, most of us don't know him, or perhaps we are doing what he is saying. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know of a lot of people that's doing that. I did, but I'm gonna tell you this. I shared something this morning. It said something about the Detroit Academy of something of arts. And it's an all-black school. Now, they specialize in the arts. And I didn't know. I have no reason to know about them. But for some reason, I did know about them because it was posted on social media, and the boy was performing. They had dancers and all that. I myself went to a magnet school in New York that specialized in my arts
Mhm.
and my ability, but you have to get accepted into a school like that. But I'm gonna read another. I'm gonna keep going with his comment. He said, honestly, government has fixed this, which isn't going to happen. Most people in the world aren't educated. Um, he said, I don't know what the accountable to who. I don't know if you said something about being accountable. He said accountable to who, and he
Okay.
also said education has been important um, for African Americans. It's our passport to the future, which is something that Malcolm X said. And the last comment he said, the same brother, he says, getting reading, writing, mathematics, but nothing about self. Teach them at home or come together with other parents to supplement teaching about our culture.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Accountability to our kids.
Right.
That's who we're accountable to. I guess I need to settle down because I know the brother, I know the brother is passionate, and I really respect the idea that he's willing to challenge and to give out some information. But we are accountable to our children. And I don't know if there are other people that are doing this. I applaud them. See, I'm not against other people that are trying. I'm saying that those of us who are not, we have to stop making excuses. And even if, like, he doesn't know me, but now he does. So
Right.
I should be getting a call from him to say, hey, brother, how can we sit down and try to continue to make sure that this path that we're going on is a path that our children can go on? So I'm not here to try to make people think that we have the only school. We are the ones who, if it's not our way, it's the highway. I'm saying that the educational system in the United States of America is hit. And if anyone thinks it's not hit, then I can't stop your mindset. If that's what you feel, and if you feel that it is hit, then I'm saying, why can't we hook up and team up and support each other and help each other? Let's have tutoring session for some young boys and young girls that are struggling in the public school system now on Saturdays for an hour or two.
Right.
We want with no charge. Everything we do is always not him, but everything we do that's positive. It's always some kind of roadblock or negativity or some philosophy when I'm saying we have to do something, brother. And that's the point I'm at now. I could care less what the public school system is doing for the most part because they're going to do it. I'm just bringing out that's what they're doing. But I'm saying this is what we are doing. And if you're willing to help what we're doing, I'm fine. And even at the end of the day, you say, well, I'm not going to help you. I'm okay with that too. I'm fine with that because we're going to do it in spite of.
Right. Now what we're doing, we're testing the bridge. You're presenting something. The only way you know if it can hold weight, you got to ask the questions and challenge. Now, it may not be for the brother that's saying these things, but somebody else may have these questions and they're not commenting.
Of course.
So, and they're gonna, like we tend to do, we think of the negative things, but sometimes you have to say, okay, how much weight can it hold? Can I cross this? What if I got this and I got, it'll hold you, So that's how we test things. We question things. And,
those are some good challenges, and I think sometimes we have to realize that I'm okay with the challenges because I think at the end of the day, most of us want the best for our children. And I don't think anyone else out here, we may not do it the way we're supposed to, but in our hearts, we really want them to succeed.
How can Afrocentric education benefit our kids? How does it?
It empowers them. It teaches them what the brother said. It teaches them the value of self. It gives them mental acuity. It gives them the sense of reasoning. It gives them rationale. It teaches them how to think. It lets them know that we were the first. We've done a lot of things in the past and we can still do those things today. It teaches them that as a people, we've been through a lot, but we can always continue to strive to do better. It teaches them that in this country, we have a context of racism, bigotry, sexism, and until we leave this earth, we're going to always be fighting against something. And it teaches them how to be strong in a time where it's really, really terrible.
Right. So it teaches them pride within themselves.
All of that's involved in it. Right.
All of that is, and that's why it's important because that if it wasn't important, then they wouldn't be taking it away at school.
Exactly. Look, I have six students, man, and I love the ground they walk on. I don't care if one of them drop out 2, 3, 4 from the standpoint of this is not what their parents want anymore. I'm okay with that, Kevin, because I'm cool with the fact of in life, you're going to have to deal with the reality. And that is, where are the adults who talk about education, but don't try to help out in a sense to help what we complain about go away? That's a problem.
Okay. And we see a couple of around the world, around America, we see some individuals that start their own schools. And it may be Afrocentric, it may not be, but it's centered. And when you say Afrocentric, the centric part means that the core of it is about blackness or Africanness. Now, somebody could start a school in the neighborhood where black kids are at, and it's meant for those kids. And it may not say it, but that's what it's meant. So we do see like a lot of our athletes, entertainers, trying to do things. Well, we don't, a lot of times we as the multitude don't support those things they're trying to do. Exactly. I saw something about LeBron James school, the 8th grade kids, they all failed math or whatever. And people couldn't wait to post that. They couldn't wait to hey, did you see this? Did you see this? And my thing is, okay, so why not give some kind of support? Because this is somebody that's trying to do something in the black community from the community that they came up to. And we always magnify the negativity, which that's what they're going to do. The system is going to magnify anything negative. They're not going to talk about if all those kids pass their English or whatever. It's not going to be all over the news and all over, because it's a reason. It's a reason that you have to create an academy, because things are slanted against us.
Exactly.
So you have to fill in. If it's a pushback, you countering what they're doing. They're attacking us there, and people complain constantly saying, well, you see this governor of, I think it was like Arkansas now, talking about they're taking away Afrocentric studies and things like that. He's saying that it's a bunch of lies. And I'm saying, okay, in my mind, I'm tired of saying, so what now?
What are we going to do about it? I also look at, and I hate to use this illustration, but I will, and I'm talking about us as a people, because oftentimes we like to point fingers at others, but we don't like to look at ourselves. There was a movie way back in the day called The Wizard of Oz. Now, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but this Tin Man, this Lion, this Scarecrow, they needed some things from the wizard. And basically, this is what happens to us today. The lion is the one I think about most of all, because we do have brains. We do have a heart. But the courage part, we have no courage to step out and say, come hell or high water, if it costs me my life, I'm sacrificing for the benefit of these children's education, the proper education. And so we are like that lion. We have no courage, man.
Yeah, a lot of us don't. I think a lot of us are like a lot of the characters.
Of course.
A lot of us don't have a heart. A lot of us don't have a brain, and we're trying to give you a brain. But the problem is we're running to the person that's trying to make us illiterate to provide us with some type of brain. And what they're going to do, they're going to give you the education that they need you to have to prolong the system. It was something I can't quote the person that said it, and I'm sorry, but it's something about the master's not going to give you tools to dismantle his shed or his house. It's not going to be tools in the master's shed that's going to help you dismantle his house. So we have to come up with our own tools. We have to start thinking of ways that we can improve ourselves, because black improvement is detrimental to the system.
We have an obligation. And that's the part that a lot of us keep running from. We have an obligation to our students, to our children, to your student, to your children, to my children. We are obligated. They're children. They don't know. We put them on clothes and send them to a place. They don't know, man. They can't make those decisions. But concerned parents can make those decisions. Right. And again, when we look at obligation and sacrifice, we're in denial, a lot of us, because we see this. If I keep running into the wall, they say that's insanity. I keep running into the wall every year. I'm doing the same thing and I'm looking for some kind of result, and I'm getting the same result. And instead of saying, okay, I'm going to stop running into the wall, I'm going to get with people who are interested in helping my children, and the people that don't know me, now you do. Now you heard the broadcast. So now you can call it 210-317-4575. I will talk to you about anything that you need to do to help your children.
One more time.
210-317-4575. Now that's my personal number, because I'm sick and damn tired of people complaining about a situation. And again, this is just me. It's not the people. It's just me. We complain about something. The house is on fire, Kevin. The house is on fire. Well, why don't you try to put it out? Nope. But look at it burning. Nope, but it's burning. It's going to burn. And then when it burns to the ground, boy, you guys are something else. It didn't burn to the ground. But you didn't try one iota. You didn't lift one finger to try to help put that fire out. But you sure as hell was the first one to complain about how the house was burning. That's where we are in many instances. And so again, to those who are doing the proper things, my heart go out to them when it comes to education. But when it comes to the curriculum, you have to ask yourself this question: what is ultimately behind a curriculum? See, these are some beautiful questions you're asking. What is ultimately behind the curriculum? Well, it's either going to be servitude. You're going to either be a servant or you're going to be your own boss. See, my students don't come to school to say they want to go to a college and work for somebody else. You have to instill that in their minds at a young age. You want to get your finances and your everything together so you can be your own boss. You put that in a child's head at a young age. When they get older, they're going to be savvy. They're going to be shrewd. But when you tell them, go to school, work for somebody else, and you die working for somebody else, complain when they treat you wrong, this is problematic with the philosophy of education. So if you want to go to school to learn math, math for what? Whose math? Whose English? Are you going to use math to blow up people, make bombs and try to kill people? Are you going to learn how to read so that you can denigrate our people and do that? So you have to ask, what is behind all of this stuff? And those are the questions that we ask.
And the thing that we can ask ourselves, all of those of us that have kids that's already gone through the school system, that's going to college, or that's trying to put our kids through college, we've had something around similar to what you're doing on a greater scale for over 100 years. That's the HBCUs. At a higher scale, we had our own colleges. We still have our own colleges, Afrocentric curriculum, but we still, many of us don't want to send our kids there. They're sitting right there in our face. We don't support them, and we could show support for them. Like I said on numerous occasions, it used to be chic to wear something that said Howard or Morehouse, even if we didn't, our kids never went, because that's advertisement, letting people know. And they say, okay, we set the trends in fashion. I could go get a shirt from you and support y'all that way by buying y'all your merchandise, and say, you know what? And people gonna say, where is that at? You know, hey, that's the Liberation Academy, and that's over there, and they do this and they do that.
That's how we learn.
I mean, you could do it's the little things that you can do. But we have a problem supporting ourselves.
There you go.
And so even though we can say whatever we want to say, well, we don't know this guy, we don't know about their schools, but it shows that it's a problem, because on a bigger scale, we didn't heard about Morehouse. We didn't heard about Spelman.
And now you do. You know about those colleges. Now you know about the brother. I didn't give him my number. My phone should be ringing off the hook, but it's not. Call us here at 361-405-6111. We might have to go in overtime, which I don't mind, because we only have 20 minutes left and we seem like we're just not getting started. The number again is 361-405-6111. Let's talk about educating our children for the 21st century, because we have problems today that our children are going to have to come to grips with. If not, they're going to be like us. In other words, who went through a system, who didn't get a chance to talk about how do you combat racism, unity, things of that sort. Our curriculum has to deal with the Afrocentric values. You asked that question earlier. Unity, self-governing that dumps into our unity as a people. We have to talk about corporate economics. We have to talk about what real justice is. We got to talk about all these concepts that we don't seem to talk about in a setting that we call school. But yet when the children come out, we want to blame the very place that we knew. If I'm a teacher and I'm a European teacher, why would I teach your children to take jobs from my kids?
Right.
Why would I do that?
Self-preservation. Why would I, if I own businesses and there are going to be layoffs, why would I lay off somebody that look like me? You're going to be the first. And the history have shown, because the black unemployment rate has always been twice that of the white unemployment rate. And I say, you wonder why they own everything.
Exactly.
We're going to them for work. And why would they lay off people that they're familiar with and that they know, as opposed to laying you off?
We got a call coming in, brother. We better answer this call and see what's happening. Okay, well, go ahead and they're actually still being screened, but until they come through.
But let me read a comment also from Brother Mustafa that's been saying. He said HBCUs are a good start, but are controlled by the government. He said Trump did help HBCUs, and he did Biden or Obama. I don't know, and I don't really care, because Trump is doing it for a reason. He's doing it just to say, that's just like saying I got a black friend. Them racist people that say I got a black friend. I don't care. And if he did give the money, then use it. The thing is, use it to our ability. If a racist give me some money, I had a brother tell me who I work for. Why don't you quit? No, because I don't, if they doing something, they giving me money and they're funding me to help do this show. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who gives me money. And the thing is, do we give money?
Wow.
Do we send our kids there?
Wow.
If we sent our kids to the HBCUs, our talented athletes and our best scientists and things like that, then you know what? They're not going to need the government money, because Alabama, Texas University, they don't need the government's money, because their athletic programs that's run off of the talents of these black kids is what's funding their university. Our black kids is funding these other places. So these government officials don't have to dangle crumbs over our head and say, well, I'm giving you money. Why don't y'all vote for me? And he don't give a damn about the HBCUs. None of the government don't give a damn.
Good teaching, Jackie.
But we don't give a damn.
Right. Jackie Robinson should never had to go to play baseball for white people. We had our own Negro League, and that's a whole nother broadcast. But caller, go ahead. You're on the air. What do you want to talk about when it comes to educating our African-American children for the 21st century? Go ahead. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Okay. Well, I guess I hit talk and I don't know what's going on. Okay. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Now we can hear you. Go ahead. What's your question or your comment?
Okay, sorry about that. Yes, I was calling on because Brother Kevin was spot on. He talked about earlier about how we're not pulling our kids away from school, and I think this is the main reason. A lot of the parents do not want to spend the extra cash. I understand that a lot of us are strapped for cash. I understand that the economy is tough, but you mean to tell me that you're willing to risk our kids' future to send them to a public school? And like you guys mentioned, they're not teaching them about their history. They're not teaching them about their culture. They're not teaching them the things they need to know. And I think the main reason why they don't want to pull our kids out of these public school systems is because we do not want to spend that extra dollar to send them to a private school that's going to teach them the things that they need to know.
Okay, good comment.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, brother. And I think that it's a lot of it is like I say, a lot of these people, they don't see the urgency. They don't see it as an emergency. You know, if you don't see it as an emergency, you're not going to see any urgency. They're going to keep doing the same thing, status quo, and we're comfortable. As a people, many of us are comfortable. Some of us are uncomfortable. If it's okay to be getting our butt kicked in the finances in America to them because they got enough. You know, it's just like the house Negro thing. They getting some good crumbs from the plate. They don't have to eat the chitlins and stuff like that that the field Negro, because they was in the house with the master. And a lot of us are getting crumbs off the master's plate, the scraps, and they eating pretty good. They eating a lot better than some of the other ones. We're eating better in America than some of the other people around the world. And we'll say things like that that's ignorant, saying, well, at least I'm not there. Well, at least I'm no. Why you always want to do the least? Why you don't strive to do the most? Why you not wanting the most for your kids?
Wow, that's awesome. I think too, Kev, we need to talk about this. I'm not a so-called Christian, but there's a principle in Christianity and Islam that I think is pertinent here. In Islam, I know when Muhammad went to a certain city, the people that he thought was going to support him, they didn't. They turned their backs on him. Okay, and he was surprised because he thought because they were so-called believers that they would understand what he was saying. And then in Christianity, there's a situation where a man that was a known murderer, he was a thief. Okay, they brought him out. And then they brought this Jesus character. Now, they knew Jesus was a good guy, but the governor asked the people, who do you want? And the people said, give us Barabbas.
Right.
They didn't want this. And this stuff that we're talking about now, a lot of people don't want it, man. And I've come to that conclusion. It's not personal. So I'm saying I have to accept the fact that many people are going to hear it. They're not going to support it. They're going to continue to die complaining about what we keep doing over and over again. And I'm okay with that. So I'm saying a lot of people aren't interested in this. You can talk as loud as you want to in that mic. You can give as many illustrations because you're telling the truth. And instead of people saying, I'm going to call you, Brother Kevin, I want to get with you to see what we can do to help these kids. I want to tutor these kids, these little kindergartens. I want to tutor. They're not going to do that. But yet they have all the answers. And that's unfortunate.
All
okay,
right.
Caller, thank you for the call.
All right, now I'm going to read another comment. Mustafa said, where's all the extra money? He said, blame the victim. The extra money is a lot of us that's the extra money is going to the Texas Longhorns. The extra money is going to the USC Trojans. The extra money is with the football is with the the television contracts that these schools that's able to have their own football network and things like that. The extra money is coming from the NCAA tournament that the networks are putting in and pumping money to the schools that's providing, but that's coming off our black backs. We're creating the extra money, but it's not for us. So I'm saying we are generating funds that's for our oppressors' schools.
Exactly.
PWI. Exactly. So the extra funds will be if all of our, or most, I don't even care if it's 50% of our top athletes went to our schools, then they will be generating most of the television revenues for that school. Instead of us begging for crumbs that people that look like us is generating. And then a lot of that extra money is going over there to the Gucci store, the Prada store, because the money that we're making as individuals, many of us want to be ghetto fabulous. We want to throw rims and all these things like that. But then if you're going to do that, I don't mind you doing with this over here if you're doing something else, but do something else. It's just like saying when you see fledgling black businesses, well, if we're not supporting them, they're going to be fledgling. You know, the Asians not going to come to the black community and support a black restaurant or a black business. The white people not going to come to our restaurants. You know, they may get a honkering for soul food every once in a while, but they're not going to be there supporting our businesses. And then we're going to look at our business saying, you know, look at them.
That's because you're still dealing with a Eurocentric mindset. And what we have to realize is that everybody that talks to us, everybody that comes around and talks about how important it is to educate our children, they don't know how to do what we're saying, man. And it's sad because they've been brought up in that system. And this is the philosophy and the mentality that they're coming from. Because if I saw this broadcast and I was interested in what we're saying, and I didn't have the money, which is nothing, it's little or nothing, I would call and see what can I do to help that school so my child can come. That's sacrifice. That's unity. That's working together to make sure that my child will know who they are. We have an identity class. You would be surprised when I ask the question about identity. Who are you? Our kids don't know who they are because their parents don't know who they are. But we all have all the answers, but yet we're running around here and we're miseducated. And like we said on last week, we had to go back and relearn a lot of the things that
I remember a lecture by Dr. Claude Anderson, and he was in front of an auditorium full of black people, mainly black people. And he said, I don't know, it was a certain amount of money. He said, I bet you no one could give me the definition of racism. So people stood up. It's hatred, but nope. It's big, nope. You know, and he's saying it's power. It's oppressive power.
I'm glad
many of us don't even know that. If I ask somebody and I even tell them, well, this is what racism actually means. No, but I'm talking about the racism that we believe it is. Okay, then we're talking about two different things.
Exactly.
Because somebody don't have to actually hate you,
right,
or be bigoted towards you to oppress you.
Yeah.
They just want it's for their own good.
I tell you, you're a prophet, man. Every time we get together, you say things that are just so powerful. And here's why I said that. Because I actually wrote down that definition, and it's exactly what you said. Dr. Claude Anderson said that racism is not what most of us think. Racism is a competitive relationship between groups of people who are competing for the ownership and control of resources. And once the group gets what they want, they shut that other group down because they have the resources. That's exactly what we're talking about now.
Exactly. And most of us don't even understand its power.
Exactly.
And the systemic part of it is in our religion. It's in our schools.
Everything.
Everything. It's in our television programs. You know, they used to have cops on, and mainly the multitude of those shows was about white police officers chasing black people, or you know, and they'd throw in some crumbs, here and there to show that, oh, well, see, we do show this, but it's the same. It doesn't matter. That's what the premise of it was. And they'll show create all these blaxploitation type movies,
right,
you know, or show our black actors. You know, Denzel, he won a Oscar or something for Training Day, as opposed to winning it for Malcolm X, you know, and Halle Berry, things like that. I mean, it's in the fabric of this nation. What are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it?
See, now we're saying some very powerful statements, because the mission of Liberation Academy, because somebody might say, well, what's the mission of the school? Our mission to establish for its students a sound education. In other words, we have to instill in our students a strong sense of academic preparedness. Some of our kids can't put together a sentence. Some of our kids can't write a paragraph. And you're going to need these things when you get older to survive. You're going to need to know how to do things, because we have to make sure that they're connected to their culture. See, these are the mission statements that we give to our students, parents, and our students, and that's what we work on, because a lot of our children need to be beneficial to society, and a lot of our children aren't beneficial to society because they're doped up from going through these schools, taking this Adderall, taking this Ritalin, taking all this medicine to make them be still. When Black boys, we're not going to be still.
Right.
We don't have a reason to be still.
I want to reply to one of the comments. Brother said Africans and Americans don't have this capital, and what I'm saying is we generate that capital. You're right. We don't have it, but we generate it. So that's the crazy part. You're making all this money for the NBA, and then we got a couple of players getting. And I'm saying we don't have it, and that's the crime that we're talking about. The reason we don't have, we're making it for somebody else.
Right.
The slaves didn't have that capital, but we were making it for America, right? So that means that what slave.
Let me ask this question, okay? What we're talking about, how much capital does it take to run Liberation Academy? It doesn't take much capital at all, because our expenses are not very high. Our expenses, and again, how many times do we say, if you can't afford it, call me, I'll talk to you. I'm a fair guy. I'm not in it for the money, because it's not about that. Call me. So what does capital have to, and I get the bigger picture, but when we're talking about educating kids, African-American kids, descendants of the enslaved, because of our culture, because of our context, because of our historical setting, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China, when basically we're talking about trying to get kids out of a system and into another system that's going to help them function for little or nothing, or in some cases it's nothing? How much more can we say the same thing, brother?
If we sit up and compare our economics and stuff to the ones that created this monopoly board, we're never going to be ahead of them. All we got to do is be able to support ourselves and do better amongst ourselves and keep outsiders out, and these kids becoming bosses and say, I'm going to work for myself and I'm going to create my own business, and we support them. We don't have to, nobody sit up and say, man, well, the Jews, what's their economic power as opposed to the whole United States of America? That's not what we're talking about.
No.
You be able to protect yourself, protect your kids, instill values in your kids.
Exactly.
And then that's going to help correct your community. Then you can defend yourself against an oppressor that's going to be constantly putting things in your community to throw you off track.
Right. This
Recognize it. If you got to recognize it first. If you're not recognizing, oh man, look at this stuff they put in. I can make money off of this by selling it to my brother and sister, or promoting this, being a pimp and all this stuff, or watching TV shows that's influencing our minds. When if you educate your kids and see their self-worth and let them know what that big bad wolf is about, then you can start building a house of bricks instead of paper and straw.
That's right.
And that they gonna easily blow down and keep kicking our ass sideways.
And I'm telling you, man, it's like, a lot of the comments are questions, which are great. A lot of them are statements, which are great. But where are the comments about, where are y'all? Where y'all located? I need to talk to you. Where are those comments? You see,
can we cash app you? Can we do something? What can I do to support?
Exactly.
Can I ever help advertise?
And I'm gonna give you the cash app. It's Cash App Liberation Academy SA. That's our cash app. Liberation, not the Liberation Academy SA. You'll see a globe. You can click on it and you can support us. But here's the thing that my students have been already prepared for. You would be surprised how many Black people that have told me what they were going to do to help out. And it's a good thing my kids have mental acuity. They've promised to come and teach them certain classes. They've promised to come and do this. They've promised to come and do that. Do you think that we have people that are volunteering, doing all those things? In fact, they've lied so much to our students that when I tell our students now, we got a person that may be interested in helping us, they tell me they don't want to hear it. They want to see it. And that goes back to how they think, because they've been hurt. They've been done bad, so wrong. I won't say hurt. They just been done bad because they realize that life, that's how life is. People talk a good game, but a lot of people aren't going to do anything. And that's where I'm at now. I'm okay with all the things they're saying and all these philosophies. When are we going to join ranks and do something to help these kids?
I think that's a valuable thing for them to see.
Oh yeah.
That's the conditions that our people are in, and this is why you're in the school, to change that when you get older and they can understand. It's just like if you got a deadbeat dad. If you got a deadbeat dad and you see the things, the hurt that you're going through and how you're being misled, then that should make you want to be a better dad and understand when you have your kids that, hey, I didn't have this, or this was the condition that I grew up, and I don't want you to grow up under the same conditions.
And I don't think a lot of us see the climate that we're in. We're in a bad climate right now, but yet we're still making excuses for doing things that are detrimental to our children's academics. That's crazy. I want to quote a poem by Paul Laurence Dunbar. It's only a 2-liner, a 2-paragraph poem. And it says, "We wear the mask." In 1879, I believe he wrote this. He says, "We wear the mask." He's from Ohio. He was a novelist. He was a poet. But he says, "We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks. It shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile. With torn and bleeding hearts," he says, "we smile." He says, "But we wear the mask." The second verse says, "Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs?" Then he says this, "Nay, let them see us while we wear the mask." A lot of us are wearing masks, man. That's what it boils down to. We wear the mask.
And we're in front of the mirror trying to make it look good. We fixing it.
Yeah.
And we don't understand the issues and the struggle that many of us have to go through because we struggle against our own.
Exactly. Instead of me, you telling me that you're building a house, instead of me saying, you know what, man, I have a skill. And my skill set is making sure that angles are right. Let me put my skill set with yours. I'm gonna help you build that house.
Kev, you need help? You need help building your house? I had a brother, and brother, he got some physical issues going on. And I mentioned some just casual conversation, man. I got to build this shed. I got my stuff in the garage and I got a shed, but I got to put it. You need help? I'm like, nah, brother. I mean, I know you hurt. Nah, bro. I can help some kind of way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We can help each other in some kind of way. Instead of talking about what our limitations are or how things can happen, what can I do to help? You may not even have funding or resources, but what can I do to help? If you are willing to help.
Yeah, we have been bitten. All of us, we have been bitten by that bug I'm telling you about. And a lot of us think we're educated, but it's nothing but Eurocentrism at its best. And you can tell the way we speak because Afrocentrism says what we're saying now. It says, okay, this is where I am. This is what I have. Let's put it together and help. That's unity, okay? But a lot of us don't want that. We want to sit back and say, because you're not doing it my way, or because I don't agree with you, then we say we don't want to have anything to do with it. So we're going to critique you. We're going to sit back and watch everything you do. And then when it doesn't come to pass, I told you it wasn't going to come to pass. That has nothing to do with negativity. It has to do with reality. And you can tell by just many of our comments, we haven't gotten one comment yet that says, what's your Cash App? Where are you guys located? Which I won't give them that address. I'll give you my number. We'll talk because you're not going to pull up on us deranged and do something ridiculous. But see, these are the comments that we should be having. But everybody has an answer and solution instead of saying, that's beautiful, kid, what you doing. Let's do something about that.
All right. And I want to say one more thing like this, because I have people that has commented, I have friends that have they did their own thing. They're doing their thing. And it may not be educated. It's in a way it's linked. Like they have book giveaways or book sales for kids and things. But other people will comment about the negativity of what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, they should do it like this. But I'm looking at you and you're not doing a damn thing. Yeah. But you telling me what this other brother need to be doing to improve what he's doing.
Right.
Okay, but are you donating books? Are you doing anything?
Nothing.
But you got an opinion. And that's crazy how we got to correct those things. We have to critique ourselves. Take that mask off. And if you don't want to, the least you could do is advertise it. Advertise it.
And to those who don't know me, you do. So see, that excuse, it flies no more.
And not knowing you, and I wonder how many of our kids or our parents know the school teacher that they send their kids to,
exactly,
the principal, and what he stands for and how whatever.
They don't know them either, but they send them every week, every day, because that mindset, man. Because if a white person isn't standing in front of them, that's their ideal of a school. When you say what is a school, they see a white woman standing in front of a lot of kids. They see black boys sitting in the back, not doing anything, lethargic. That's their ideal of a school. That's not a school. That's an institution that has corrupted the minds of our people. And instead of us men and women saying, hey, we should be able to tutor these people, tutor these students on Saturdays. We have a problem with ourselves, man. And that's not something you can fix. That's not something I can fix. You do what you do. I do what I do. And regardless of what people think or say, we're going to continue to move forward. And then when it blows up, so to speak, oh yeah, now we want to get on board because they want to see. See, they don't want to start. They want to help you build the house when you first start. They want to wait to see how it looks. Then when they see it looks great, yeah, bro, I want to get in on that. Okay, but you don't want to get in on it when you need to, and that's right now.
When it's time to carry the bricks and build the house, everybody's going to tell you how it's not going to work, how the blueprint is not good.
Yeah,
and
I told you it's going to be a spirited discussion, man.
Okay, you have anything you want to leave with, brother?
Well, I want to leave with letting everyone know I'm gonna give the information out one more time. My number is 210-317-4575. Leave a message if I don't answer, and let's talk about helping your children, helping our children. Also, you can Cash App us at Liberation Academy SA. You're going to see a picture of a globe. That's the information. Other than that, I want you all to know that, hey, we're in this together, and we're going to do what we can, come hell or high water, whether you like it or not, whether you agree or not. It's for the kids. It ain't about us now. It's for the kids because we are parents and we're supposed to lead and guide them as opposed to them leading and guiding us.
All right. And I want to say this before we go with the outro music. Many people that may comment, it may have been things that you're trying to do, and it may not have anything to do with education or school like this brother is talking about. But people scrutinize you.
Mm-hmm.
People
they should.
They didn't. But I'm saying people were scrutinized, but they didn't want to support. So think of the support that you was looking for, or people bringing their kids just to your event, or people coming to an event that you was throwing, and then sometimes it's frustration because people didn't show up like you thought, and then we looking at people side-eyed. And then when somebody else is trying to do something, you're scrutinizing. I'm not talking about anybody on this, but I'm saying it's the same thing. You may have had a baseball team. You may have had, I'm trying to do this for the kids and it's about the kids, or I'm trying to it's about the kids, and then people are not supporting you, and then they're critiquing you. And then you got to keep that in mind when you turn around and want to critique somebody else.
Exactly.
If you're not supporting it.
That's true. And I want to say this too. I have many parents, or some parents, that call me and they ask me a million questions about the institution, and I'm okay with that. But yet you won't go call the public school system and ask them a million questions. You do that because you look at me and see that I'm a black man, and you figure, well, you're suspect, but you're not suspect of sending your kids for the last 12 years to these schools with all these different people.
Systemic racism at its finest.
All right, we better leave them with that though, Kev.
All right, appreciate y'all showing up. John Kev Show.
We out.
Wow.